Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope everyone's well, in best of health, in best of states as we enter into our next episode of me. One thing I'm gonna do more often than not is to show you some clips which I find very interesting. Old clips of Syam Yusuf when he discusses many very important topics for us today. Topics which actually resonate very clearly, more clearly than it was before. Topics which we can actually benefit from a lot 20 years or 10 years down the road, and also topics which influences our life today, because we did not take heed and did not change our circumstances based on what he said before. One of the also very interesting things about time is time is the one which reveals a lot of things, and only in time will you be able to see the fruits of whatever that has happened before. And one thing about this is that the conversation that I want to share with you guys is one of those very important reasons. Today we are engulfed with the idea of feminism, the idea of equality, the idea of gender roles, and all of these kind of terminologies that have been shoved into our faces, influencing us to have a perspective. Most often than not, most of us fall prey to these kind of ideas because we want to conform to society. We want to conform to the society's ideals to be able to fit in with the majority of people, or what is perceived to be the majority of people. And one of the key things I want to share is about our society today, the ideals that we have about women, about feminism, equality, and how society have forced upon us different sets of success charts. Society has imposed in our minds the ideals which is foreign to true human happiness. I will not say much more. I think that will be suffice. Let's watch the video.
You will not find equality. It's a myth.
But in terms of seeking Allah's reward between a man and a woman,
that they have the same potential.
This is basically a video long time ago. He's having a conversation with this lady, interviewing him. There was many different topics. This topic is about a woman in Islam. I just cut out a short part, about 5 minutes. Let's watch through it and see what he has to say.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, really, it's unfair because women have an easier route to gain God's grace according to the Islamic tradition.
How so?
Well, for instance, according to the Prophet Muhammad, a woman came to him and complained. She said, we see men go out and struggle in the way of God, defending the lands of Islam. We see them, they have more money than we do, and they give charity. And we see them, they go to the congregational mosque 5 times a day, and we have children that keep us in our houses. They're getting all the reward. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, any woman who fulfills her trust to God and her responsibility in her household has the same reward as that man out there who's doing jihad, who's paying his charity, who's going to the mosque. In other words, and I think the way my wife said that when she told me, she said that's not equal. She said it's that the Prophet understood how difficult it is to be a woman in this world.
Because
I think that one hadith needs to be like put into billboards for people today. Why is it in our society that today, like, we need the mother to go work and the father who needs to go work? What is the reason for it? I was thinking quite long and hard for it, and then I come to this conclusion, that is to maintain a certain lifestyle, to maintain a certain image or an ideal of what is good. One of the problems that we have, I think, is this idea of this Protestant idea that being poor is bad. That if I'm poor or I don't have much, it means I'm not doing good. And this is unfortunately one of the ideas which capitalism has forced into us, or this idea of greed or of hedonism, of having things, has crept into our minds that we will not be pleased with having enough. I remember reading the great Imam Ash-Shafi. He said, having shelter, bread, and clothes are the necessities of life. Everything else is a luxury. And we look at ourselves today, the people of the 21st century, living in first world countries. What do we have? We are living like kings, but we do not know this. We think we do not have this, do not have that, means we are not living the good life. I think one of the problems that we have is that we do not understand what is being poor, what is being not having enough, what it means to be having a difficult life. We have this illusionary perspective of life, which hinders us from looking at things for what it is. And so I think that's one of the reasons why, to people to maintain a certain lifestyle. Because if bread is enough, if having a shelter is enough, and having a clothes is enough, do you think we need to have two working parents? And what kind of homes do you want? Are you enough? Do you suffice with a small home so that you can be able to give the best life for your children? And then the question is, what is the best life for your children? Is it buying for them, being able to buy them a lot of things? Or is it giving them the tools and the understanding to be able to survive in the onslaught of ideas, from the onslaught of society, in any circumstances? Give them the tools to be able to live in any given state. Is that more important? But because society imposes us with ideals and ideas of what is good, what is bad, and we gobble them down without thinking, that's where we lose focus and we lose the real objectives of our life. All right, let's carry on.
Even though we feel that women may feel that they are fulfilling their purposes at home, they may feel they have another purpose of doing good for the ummah in terms of being out in the public eye for those reasons.
The greatest good that a mother can do for not just the ummah of Islam, but for humanity, is to raise a human being. That is the.
This is another thing that I want to share. Is that one of the things I realized, that this kind of language which this lady was using is alien to the generation of our grandparents. Our grandmothers will never speak like that. Like, I have never heard my grandmother saying things like that, that she feels that she needs to be outside serving the community. There are, of course, one or two people who do that, but the exception does not make the rule. You see that they really see one of the most important things in their life, priorities in their life, is taking care of their family. And we see that degradation of that idea of the virtue to in the next generation, which is our parents' generation. We see that woman in that time was influenced by mass television. We see by media being able to the propagation of propaganda through media influencing the minds of the women in that time. And those women usually that's when they start going to schools. They started to work, but most of them got married anyway. They got married young, would be like 20 plus, 20, early 20s, But what stayed on from that experience was an aspiration that if only I could have worked, I could have achieved this. And that aspiration of being able to have their own career outside of fulfilling the best career, which is being a mother, is passed over to the next generation. And so you see in our generation today, there is almost like a taboo or something weird to say, like women shouldn't be working, they should be staying at home taking care of their children. What a backward thing to say. As though the generation of our grandparents were backwards. They lived, when we look into our grandparents' generation, they had relationships people today would die for. We are living in a society where people don't survive 5 years of marriage. These people cry when they speak about their spouses, when they think about their spouses. What comparisons are there? And we talk about happiness, like, which is happiness? What is happiness? So I think this is another thing which we have to highlight. Like, how did these ideas of what this woman was mentioning about serving the ummah, as though whatever Shamsa Yusuf was saying before, that you take care of your home, take care of your husband, take care of your all these responsibilities, you will get equal to what the men are doing, as though that is not good enough, as though there is nothing, and there is no big deal. It's a small thing to do. Who told you that? Who told you that? Who told you that that is not a big deal? Who gave you these ideas that going out and being in the front, serving the ummah in that sense, is the greatest purpose you can fulfill? Who told you that? Right? Unfortunately, we got sucked in. Let's go.
Greatest thing that she can do. And if she thinks she can do anything greater, she's deluded. She is deluded. Now, not every woman is a mother, and there's certainly many, many things that women can do. But if a woman has a child, once she's committed to that and has a child, if she abandons that responsibility in pursuit of some empty career or some idea of making her mark on the world, she has completely misunderstood the great importance and the great responsibility that she has been given by God, in that the fruit of her womb is before her, and she will be asked. All of you are shepherds, and every shepherd is responsible for his flock. And then he said, a ruler is a shepherd, and he's responsible for the country. A husband is a shepherd, and he's responsible for his family. And a woman is a shepherd, and she's responsible for her children. So if a woman brings children into this world and then dumps them in a daycare center where people have 20 or 30 children, and a woman's being paid $8 an hour to look after those 20 or 30 children, and then she thinks that somehow she's doing something more important by going out and working, I think there's something very seriously wrong with her maternal instincts.
With respect to your response to that, what if that is a woman's only means of livelihood? And
that's another situation. You see, you can't, I mean, Islam is not, again, it's not a simpleton's religion.
Yeah, exactly. Like, scenarios like this, of course, we are not a simpleton religion where you say, oh, no, don't work. You're not allowed to work. You have to eat sand and stuff like that. It's not like that, but we need to put things in priority. Like, there are priorities in our life, and if people are in different places in their life, and every single different circumstances will change your priority level. You do not have, for example, any knowledge about how to pray. Like, what is your priority? Learning how to pray. And then when you get married, you have a job, and it's taking 20 hours of your day, and then your husband, rarely sees you. Which one is your priority? And then you have children, and then because you want to be able to keep up a certain lifestyle, you put them into a daycare so that you can earn and support the family. Like, what is your priority? Your child is, the money is the priority, not the child. The idea that, I want to be able to earn a certain income so I could give them the good life. The good life is being able to spend time with your child. That is the good life. And then what do we expect? That with one day, they too will chuck you into childcare. When you're old, when we are old and frail, and we become a burden because I have to find money, guys. I need to give you the good life. So I'm going to put you into a childcare. An old folks home. So you can be with all the other old folks. Those old folks, what will they have in common? All of them put their kids into childcare. And they did not give their children the reason. They just a burden, They make their kids into a burden, which hinders from their career, their pursuits for monetary wealth. And when we get chucked into those places because of the decisions we made, who is there to blame? It's very important stuff when you think about it, man. Very, very important. Carry on.
The woman has no other source of income, and she's forced to do certain things, and she's forced to do them. And that, the shame is on the men. The shame is on the men for not facilitating for women to raise their children. I mean, we're living. If you look at America right now, look at the children in this country. Look at the rage. Listen to the music. Don't listen to it, but if you do listen to it from these loudspeakers coming out of their cars as they drive by, that music is filled with rage. And look at their faces. Look at the spiritual state of these people, or the bereft state, the lack of spirituality. And to give some of them credit, I'm amazed at how well some of them do, despite all of the odds against them. I am amazed that there's children out there, there's young people out there that are really struggling to find a purpose to their life in a world that is telling them constantly, including their parents, by abandoning them, that they are worthless and that their lives are purposeless.
Okay, irrespective of financial need, looking at your analogy of mercy in women and that being characteristic of women, say a woman, Muslim woman, married with children, her husband provides well and family's doing fine. If she feels that with this characteristic of having mercy, is able to go out into the working world and is able to do something good for the ummah, whether it be in the media, whether it be in any form of her capability, and her family's been taken care of, how does that configure with abandonment?
Well, again, I would re-emphasize that no one can give to children what a mother can give to their children. That doesn't mean there aren't pathological mothers out there. There are. There are mothers that dump their babies into garbage cans. I mean, this happens. People read about these things in the newspapers, and some people experience them firsthand. But the point is that children need time. Children thrive on time. I have 3 children. They're homeschooled, and the amount of time that, not just my wife, but that I put into those children is immense. And they thrive on it. They need time. And parents now spend 5 or 10 minutes with their children in a day. And you cannot do that to a child. You will kill that child's soul. And they'll end up spending the rest of their life seeking that love in pathological ways from other people. They'll end up spending it by trying to be superficial beings that only think that their worth in the world is physical, like so many of the women out there. Why are all these women getting plastic surgery to rearrange their faces? Why are they out there jogging in the streets trying to keep up with some image of the body that has been presented to them by a mainstream media that has essentially at its root a desire to sell them things, to sell them cosmetics, to sell them clothes that quote-unquote look sexy, to sell them toothpaste that's going to make them more presentable? I mean, this is what's happening out there. People are in a very, if you look out at the world right now, look out there, look at the state of human beings right now. So many of these women that I see out there do not look well.
I mean, like, he was talking about this like 10 years ago, guys. 10 years ago. That was how long this video was. And look at the world now. Look at where he has gone and where he's going. Don't assume that this is how bad it can go. I think that's one of the most unfortunate things you can do. Don't assume this is the max of how bad it can be. We do not know how far this thing can go. But it's true. Look at what the pursuits and these ideas that we have inherited through media, through not knowing our purpose and objectives of life. Look at where he has taken us. Look at the kind of dysfunctions that it has caused society. Look at the kind of problems and misery they has caused into society. I mean, Shamsa say beautifully, like the reasons, most of the reasons of one of the most, Shamsa said it beautifully, one of the major cause of all this is the men not being able to step up to provide for this woman the shelter, the confidence, the education that they need to be able to fulfill their purpose in the best way. One of the issues also that men today has become emancipated, that they have no guts to stick up for what is true and speak to their spouses, to their partners, to educate them in a way that they can understand, to be leaders, we give up. Most men I see today give up and not being able to have the courage to take their wives by the hand and to show them the way, because they too, like myself as well, have been influenced by these illusionary ideals which has been shoved into our minds through our education system, through the media, to the things we watch, to the TV shows, to the phones. And even when I think about how influenced I was back then through the things the mediums that I watched, I cannot imagine what is happening to the children today. The children who have phones and accessible to them are worldviews. I don't know, man, guys. Really scary stuff. We carry on.
they do not look well to me. And I think part of it is because their souls are telling them that they're not well, because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And if you don't do what you're supposed to do in this world, your soul will let you know from every which way, and it will be painful. You'll end up, if you don't listen to your soul, you'll end up on antidepressants, you'll end up on alcohol, you'll end up on drugs, you'll end up in pathological relationships.
So what is the role of the woman, which would be deemed as Islamically correct?
The role, I hate that word, first and foremost, because it's an acting metaphor.
Which word?
The role.
Oh.
But anyway,
Okay.
it's English language, but I would say that not so much the role, but the purpose of a woman is the same as the purpose of a man, and that is to know their Lord before they die. And that is why they were created. And everything else is incidental. That is the essential purpose of a human being, is to have a direct relationship with the Creator of the heavens and the earth. And if they're told anything else, it's a lie. If they're told that their main role in life is to have children, that is a lie. Children are a path to God, and they're a powerful path, and children are spiritual teachers. Children are teachers. They teach us. And they also remind us about a pure world, a pure state, and a state that our souls were once in. But I would say that the purpose of a woman is the purpose of a man. It is to know and worship God.
I think that is one of the very important messages that we can really benefit from today. Is number one, we need to rethink about using this word roles, because it's like Samuel Suf said, it's an acting term, but to find purpose. And how do we find that purpose? Is to realign ourselves to true ideals. I was just having a conversation with my wife the other day about, there was this movie she was watching, the internet, and then while we were having this conversation, I realized that one of the challenges that we have today in our society is that we think we know better. And because we think we know better, we keep on doing things, and we do not realize the consequences of what will happen because of our actions. And we have in front of us a blueprint of how to live this life. We have the blueprint, the macro blueprint, to see how everything is supposed to go. But because we choose temporal feel-good choices, which feels good now, but the consequences are drastic and dangerous. And because we choose the choices, we fall trapped. We dig ourselves deeper and deeper into the same trap, and we cannot get out. And this is the challenge for us today, is to look back, that it was not too far along. Think about our grandparents' generation, think about our parents' generation, and think about why and how we got to where we are, and where is this going, and what it means for the next generation, and what it means for parents of today's generation. How do we ensure that our future generations survive in a world which is going into a direction where we can't imagine, where relationships and purposes of each man and woman are corrupted and mutilated until a place that you can't imagine, in an environment where they shift paradigms just so that they could fulfill an economical purpose, and they sell it as in the ideal that we want to achieve an equality society for all. This is the biggest lie of our modern age today, and it's only in people returning back and looking back at our previous generations and look at the kind of life that they were having together. There is a true purpose. And when we realign ourselves with the ideals of those previous people and rethink about why we think the way we think, and realign ourselves with true ideals or better ideals, that's where the path towards true happiness will be much more clearer. Guys, this will be the ending for today. If you guys enjoyed it, the next one, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you everybody for watching The Pursuit for Meaning. And if you enjoyed and appreciated what we have put out here, it will help us a lot for you guys to like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you want to join our little community we are building, the links to the Discord is in the description below. Thank you. Bye.